94.5 kdge. The Edge, you're listening to Edge Club 94. That was Go from Moby. Moby's hanging out with us in the studio tonight. Moby, let me ask you a question. Is techno as important today as it was, let's say, like 3 years ago in the grand scheme of new music?
In the grand scheme of new music, I think it's important. Why it's important has shifted. You know, a few years ago it was important because it was new. Now it's important because there's so many like creative, intelligent people involved in the genre. You know, it's not groundbreaking music anymore. It's not doing anything new, but there's still a lot of really interesting people expressing themselves through it.
Okay, let's change the word techno now with raves. Mm-hmm. Are raves still as important today as they were, let's say, 3 or 4 years ago in America?
In America, I think it seems to me like the rave scene has really mutated. You know, it's not about raves anymore. It's about all the peripheral stuff surrounding raves. It's about the clothes. It's about mixtapes. It's about drugs. It's about, you know, more like, you know, all the accoutrements of the rave scene when the actual raves are secondary.
Right.
You know, very few people anymore go out and go dancing and get covered in sweat, but a lot of people wear the clothes, you know, the big baggy jeans and the Adidas shirts and what have you.
Right.
A lot of people do the drugs. A lot of people listen to the mixtapes. So it's sort of like it's mutated. I think one of the things, like what's hurt the rave scene, you can't even really use that term anymore, but what's hurt this scene is people responding to things disingenuously. You know, DJs playing records.
Good word.
DJs playing records that they don't really care about, and their audience doesn't really care about, but yet everyone's trying to convince themselves that they should care about it.
Okay.
You know, like playing esoteric underground house records that you don't really like very much, but you think they're cool.
Just to maintain your credibility or something.
Yeah, so that the guys at the record store all think you're cool, and it's like, I kind of wish everyone just stop worrying and just have fun again, you know, and like play stupid disco records and play commercial rave anthems and just have fun and blow whistles and get covered in sweat and stop taking it so seriously.
Okay, well, we've got all your records once again laid out in front of you here. Pick your stupidest record and let's play that. What's Moby's stupidest record?
The stupidest record?
Yeah.
Drop a Beat. Which I really don't like.
Well, let's listen to it.
Oh,
come on.
Why did I even mention it?
Yeah, it's Drop a Beat, Moby's stupidest record on Edge Club 94. 94.5 kdge, The Edge. Jeff K here chatting with Moby this evening. We just played Drop a Beat, and it's not one of your favorites. Why is that song not a favorite of yours, Moby?
Because it was such a genre piece. You know, it was like that sort of like summer of 1991, 1991, 92?
91 or 92?
I don't even, yeah, maybe 92, when it was that sort of like that Belgian, like that tacky Belgian rave anthem thing, which was perfect at the time.
Right.
But now I listen to it, I'm like,
the schizo, kind of like the Rainforest mix of Go.
But I still like that. Like that still has some lingering credibility for me.
It's real over the top though. With yeah, that's good though. Hey, you know what's funny is you said you started out playing guitar in a punk band. Is that what you said?
A long time ago, 20 years ago.
So your career then is kind of, it's cyclical. It's come back to itself because on the new album, by the way, we haven't even touched on the album. Let's plug the album. The new CD is called Everything Is Wrong. And there's some tracks on there that aren't techno records. There's tracks on there that can harken back to punk and almost grunge. Why?
This record, everything was made specifically with an album in mind, so I could be a lot more eclectic, a lot more diverse.
Right.
Because I've been making this type of music, you know, punk rock, guitar-oriented stuff for ages, but I just never had a vehicle with which to put it out.
How do you get to a position, though, wherein, people market you as a dance artist, people know you as a dance artist, and then on the album you go ahead and you put out tracks that aren't necessarily dance tracks? How hard is that to get that point across to your listeners? It's hard. It alienates a lot of people, especially people, who are expecting me to be a dance artist, but it's also nice because it wakes people up a little bit. You know, it's so much culture, so much music just strokes people and, reinforces their prejudices. You buy a dance record, you know exactly what it's going to sound like from start to finish. You buy a punk rock record, you know what it's going to sound like from start to finish. And it's nice to be able to sort of challenge that a little bit. Right. And have each song, sort of really, really radically different than the song before it. So when you're listening to this Everything Is Wrong album, you're constantly being woken up and asking yourself what's going on. You go from anthemic disco rave stuff to this weird, noisy, speed metal, poorly recorded punk rock stuff. Let's kind of find the happy medium on the CD. It's track number 3. It's All That I Need Is to Be Loved. It's kind of got a groove to it, if you can call that, but it's got more of the angst that we're talking about.
Yeah, it's sort of like electronic punk rock.
Well, here it is. All That I Need Is to Be Loved. It's Moby from his CD Everything Is Wrong on Edge Club 94 on 94.5 The Edge.
All I want
94.5 kdge, The Edge. Edge Club 94 continues. Jeff K. and hanging out with me. It's Moby, the spokesman for a whole musical scene. Now, why is that? Why is that when magazines, in particular, want to come to somebody that's going to describe a particular genre, a particular scene, techno, as we're talking right now, why is it always you? Is it because you're a descendant of Herman Melville, or you got the cool name Moby, you've got the image? Why is Moby the spokesman for techno? That's right.
I think what happened was a few years ago when I started doing interviews, I ended up being a lot more literate and a lot more...
Yeah, man, my records are really cool.
Yeah, like a lot. Yeah, I mean, a lot of, if you've ever read interviews with a lot of, techno people or dance people, it's not that they're dumb, it's just that a lot of times they're like, shy, retiring white kids who aren't used to being, speaking in a public forum.
Right.
And I love doing interviews, and I make myself accessible, and I'm, when I meet with journalists, I'm friendly, and I talk a lot. Whereas I've heard other journalists say that, they tried to interview someone like, Joey Beltram, who's a smart kid, but, the interview would usually go like, well, Joey, so how does it feel to be involved in this groundbreaking movement? And his answer would be like, I don't know.
Yo, man, we gonna break dance soon?
Yeah. So it's like, I think it's just like I ended up being a little more outgoing, a little more well-spoken than all the other people in the scene.
Also, there was a time where you were, pardon the euphemism, you were the remixer of the moment. You were the flavor of the month.
Yeah.
Everybody had you doing mixes. Michael Jackson, B-52's Erasure. I haven't seen a Moby remix in a long time. Why is that?
The reason, it's an easy-to-explain reason. I haven't done any remixes in a long time because I'm able to make my own records now. The reason I was making so many remixes then was because I was involved in a lawsuit with Instinct Records, and I couldn't do my own stuff, so I still had to pay the rent, and I wanted to, put out music, so I took advantage of doing all these high-profile remixes because it paid well, and it impressed my mom. It's like, it doesn't, if I go to my mom and say, look, Mom, I remixed Orbital, she'll be like, oh, well, that's interesting. But if I can say, look, I remixed Michael Jackson, she'll get all excited and tell her friends at work.
Well, you told us what the most stupid Moby record was, in your opinion. Why don't we pick your favorite track off the new CD and play that? Which would your favorite track
be? It's hard. It's kind of like picking children.
Who's your favorite child?
Out of these 13 children, which is my favorite? Oh, boy. I'd have to say the last song, When It's Cold, I'd Like to Die.
Now, I was going to ask you, what's with the title of that song? So give us that explanation.
It's about feeling depressed and alienated and dispossessed and sort of wanting life to end.
Wow. A quick pick-me-up.
Yeah, I know.
From Moby.
Just the thing you need to help yourself wake up in the morning.
When it's cold, I like to die. It's Moby on Edge Club 94 on 94.5 The Edge.
Someone
94.5 kdge, The Edge. You're listening to Edge Club 94, and from Moby's CD, Everything Is Wrong. It's a track called When It's Cold, I Like to Die. More of our exclusive interview with Moby next on The Edge.
94.5 kdge, The Edge, has two ways for you to see Pearl Jam in Austin Sunday, July 2nd. Way number one, listen to the Morning Edge at 7:20 to get the Pearl Jam of the day. When you hear it again, call in to qualify for tickets and a seat on one of two Edge Learjets to Austin. Way number two, set up your own road trip to Austin in the same vehicle the Edge spotters catch you in that displays Pearl Jam and 94.5 The Edge on it. If you think it'll make it that far. Not one, but two ways to see Pearl Jam. With not one, but two Learjets. From not one, but 94.5 kdge, The Edge.
Dad,
Yep.
it's pouring.
I know.
Mark can win without us. They're ahead by 2 touchdowns.
Well, he needs us.
He's your favorite son, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Dad!
Come on. Who spent 3 days helping you make a model of the human heart out of a dried pumpkin?
Okay, you. And Mark.
Southwest corner of Midway and Beltline in Addison.
This is 94.5 kdge, The Edge. You're listening to Edge Club 94. Jeff K here, being joined by Moby as we continue talking about all sorts of stuff like the new CD, Everything Is Wrong, on Elektra Records. Major label. That is so cool.
Is it
It's
cool?
so cool. It's called When It's Cold, I Like to Die. It's so cool because I can walk into Blockbuster Music and see your CD. Is that good or is that bad, Moby?
I think that's good because I'd been making 12 inches for such a long time. And it's like, after a while, the appeal of making 12 inches that only sell a couple thousand copies to the same people, you know, that same like underground network of DJs and music magazine people, it just gets boring after a while. You know, it's
Right.
like preaching to the converted. And it's a lot nicer playing concerts and looking out in the audience and seeing like this wide, disparate group of people. You know, you have ravers, you have punk rockers, you have people that have just read about me in People magazine or whatever. And it's like, that's so much more interesting having contact with this wide group of people rather than just a select, you know, elite group of ravers or whatever.
Let's touch on a couple of personal aspects about Moby, things that have been publicized. I mean, we're not going to get into specifics on why you showed me a picture of your soon-to-be fiancé on the toilet.
Soon to be fiance, I don't.
Well, what did you tell me? You said maybe your
Maybe
wife or
no,
something?
maybe we're gonna break up.
Oh, okay. Well, we won't get into that. Let's talk about the fact that you are a vegan.
Vegan, very, very, very aggressively so. Yeah.
All right. Explain to people what that is and why you are that.
A vegan is someone like me who eats no animal products, you know, no meat, no milk, no dairy products, no fish, no nothing.
No,
Doesn't,
let me interrupt you for just a second. I
Okay.
can understand why you don't want to eat meat because it's obviously involves the death of animals. But milk doesn't seem like it's. I mean, what's the thing with the milk?
with milk, a lot of it is ethical. It's like, not to sound like too much of a freak, but you know, cows still have to be in prison to make milk, and it's. I take issue with the notion that human beings can force their will on animals. I think that animals, you know, human beings and animals should be free to do whatever they want to do.
Right.
And I have a hard time imposing my will on any other creature. And I don't want to support a system that imposes its will on other creatures.
Right. Now, when you go certain places and you do shows, describe for us, you know, without getting into too much detail, what your rider looks like, things that you need to do a show.
A Moby rider,
Yeah.
well, there's like 2 cases of beer for the crew.
You're serious about that,
Yeah.
aren't you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you, though,
My
buddy.
rider
Yeah.
is, okay, it's so simple. 2 bottles of spring water, $20, and a ride to a health food store.
Ah, okay.
That is my rider.
Because then once you take the $20, you go to the health food store and you're hooked up for the night.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, without turning it into any kind of, you know, sermon or whatever, you are a devout Christian.
In a weird way.
Okay.
In a really weird way. In a way that, like I'm almost wary of the word Christian. I like Christ, and to me there's a huge distinction between who Christ was and what Christianity is.
Don't you think, though, it might seem a little oxymoronic for people on the outside looking in to see this person that's involved in a scene that, you know, dabbles in drugs and dabbles in psychedelia and dabbles in aggressive sounds, to have such a strong faith?
Okay, not to get too heady here, but there's a big difference between aesthetics and ethics.
Okay?
A lot of people within, you know, the church and within Christianity take issue with dancing and with drugs and with all these things because they look distasteful. But to me, the actual things that threaten human well-being and the well-being of this planet are capitalism and greed and materialism and racism and sexism and homophobia and all these things, and those are the enemies. You know, a bunch of kids getting together and dancing might not be the most righteous thing in the world, but it's not terribly destructive when you compare it to people doing jobs for 50 years that they hate,
Right.
and having marriages where they can't communicate with their wives or their children, and having friends that the only thing that bonds them together is being sexist, and that to me is the real enemy.
Let's play another track off the CD.
Okay.
Anything you want, buddy. It's up to you.
Well, how? Oh, this is terrible. Why don't
we can play
you
the new single?
Into the
Overseas, Into the Blue.
Sure, let's play Into the Blue.
You want to do Into the Blue?
And now completely confuse people.
Why?
Because we played the punk rock song, we played the slow kill yourself ballad, and now we're playing this weird whatever type. This is, I don't even know what type.
Well, we've
of
got the
song
12-inch if you want to pick one of the mixes off of it. There's a Voodoo Child.
Yeah, let's play the Voodoo Child mix of that.
Very good. The Voodoo Child mix of Into the Blue. It's Moby on Edge Club 94 on 94.5 The
kdge, Gainesville, Dallas, Fort Worth.
.5 KDGE The Edge. It's Moby's brand new single Overseas. It's called Into the Blue, and Moby's here with us tonight on Edge Club 94. We ever going to see that single released in America?
Maybe. I don't know. The next single in America is Bring Back My Happiness.
Oh.
Because I think we feel like we've confused people enough. We need to give them a little, like, stable footing.
You know what I think was really, really great of you, and I'd like to see more artists do that, is acknowledge the fact that DJs are very, very instrumental in breaking records. You actually had a DJ competition for people to take bits and pieces of one of your tracks, put it together however they like, send it to you, and then you'd pick the winner and put them on the single, the actual mix that you decided.
And pay them for it.
And pay them for it, which is fantastic. Why did you do that?
I did that because when I was first starting out, I had no idea how to get involved in making records or get involved doing remixes. And I figured, like, even when I first started doing remixes, I didn't know what was involved. So I figured I'd sort of like spell it out for people and say, the way you do a remix is you're given all these parts and you reconstruct it. So I wanted to sort of show people the mechanical aspect of it, you know, just like putting the parts together and doing it themselves. And also, if they do it really well, give them the opportunity to have something good on their resume, which is, you know, winning this Moby contest, which is out of, you know, there were 400 entries. So to win is, you know, a big deal.
Did you personally listen to all 400? Or?
I personally listened to all 400 of them, which, if you figured out, I'd say an average 6 minutes per entry.
Right.
It's 2,400 minutes, 60 minutes in an hour.
Right.
So it's 40 hours.
Yeah.
I was thinking of, see, you know, Lollapalooza this year.
Right.
I'm doing the second half of it.
Does that mean you're going to be here?
I think
Because
so.
we're on, I think, the 10th of August?
Yeah, I'll be here.
They're doing the rave thing afterwards, aren't they?
Oh, then maybe the Enid Festival.
Yes!
But I'm going to be doing headlining the second stage for the second half of Lollapalooza.
Wow.
But originally what we were going to do is, okay, I'm going to name drop for a second.
Go for it.
I was talking to Perry Farrell a couple months ago.
Never heard of him.
And he had this idea to do the, you know, the post-Lollapalooza Bacchanalian rave / festival, whatever, the Enid thing.
Okay.
But then now the way Enid's going to happen, I think it's only happening in 10 cities or 6 cities or something.
No. Well, I've gotten a call on it. It will happen in Dallas if everything goes smoothly, and hopefully you'll be part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
With the resurgence of grunge rock, you know, Pearl Jam, Live, Bush, there's also like a whole new like granola rock movement with Blues Traveler, Hootie and the Blowfish, Dave Matthews. What is techno or like dance music in general got to do to kind of gain more acceptance? I mean, it almost happened a few years ago, but now when you look back on it, the only things that stand out are like James Brown is dead, you know, and that's garbage. What do we got to do?
I think we need to be more tolerant of garbage. And we need to stop being so sophisticated.
Okay.
And the reason that we have granola rock, the reason we have grunge rock, the reason R&B is so successful, the reason reggae is successful, all these things is because they're songs and they're things that when you leave a nightclub after hearing these songs, you can hum them to yourself. Like all the bands you just mentioned, I can sing you their choruses.
Right.
You know, Live is that lightning crashes.
Right, exactly.
And all these bands have songs and hooks. And dance music, the reason, especially techno or whatever, the reason it was so successful 2 or 3 years ago is there were hooks. You know, James Brown is dead, or T99,
right,
or Enjoy. There were, you know, things that you would hear the song and 5 minutes later find yourself singing it. But techno's become so esoteric and so sophisticated, which is not bad, but it's so exclusively sophisticated. You know, I go out to a nightclub now and I hear 6 hours of songs that all sound exactly the same.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like anybody that's in the scene wants to play anything with a hook or anything that's considered, oh, this is cheese, this is going to last a week.
But the cheese, I love cheese. I love going out and hearing songs that make me want to throw my hands in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the esoteric stuff can be fun. You know, like a good Josh Wink record. Sure, that's great. You know, and I dance to it and I get a little bit sweaty. But I really sometimes want to hear like a big German rave anthem.
Yeah, or when you're at like a Knicks game and they play Get Ready for This.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just something that's going to get my blood going a little bit. And I think techno's just become a little too sophisticated. It's almost like jazz fusion. You know, it's like music for this like real esoteric intelligentsia, but the rest of the world doesn't care anymore.
Okay.
Except unless you go to Germany. Because in Germany, techno is huge, and it's because it's cheesy.
Okay.
There's like the cool guys in Berlin and Frankfurt and wherever making the underground techno.
Right.
But then these other guys making these like top 10 techno records, and there's a nice balance between the two, and they can each complain about each other. And the problem with American techno scene is it's too much weighted towards the like underground, esoteric side.
I see.
I think there needs to be a balance, and people need to like rediscover the like fun, happy, joyful side of techno and not worry about, you know, playing these cool 12 inches that only last for 3 days.
Okay, and now you've just been appointed program director of The Edge, and we've got to find a Moby song, any Moby song, doesn't have to be on the current CD, any Moby song that we think is going to be the one. This is going to be the one that people are going to walk away from a concert. This is going to be the one they listen. They're going to sing this one just like you sing the live track. Which song would it be?
Feeling So Real. Feeling So Real is the hit off that record. It was in Germany. where you can actually hear techno on the radio and see it on MTV, and they have Viva, which is like German MTV. Feeling So Real was a big hit.
Okay.
I sold 250,000 copies of Feeling So Real in Germany. That's the hit.
Man. All right, well, let's play it one more time.
Okay.
It's
and if
feeling-
I was a radio programmer, you could play it because it's got a hook and it's uplifting, and people are driving home from work. It'll make them, like, you know, perk up a little bit.
It's Feeling So Real. Moby from his latest CD, Everything Is Wrong, on Elektra Records. On Edge Club 94, on 94.5 The Edge.
Sound system rockin', 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 sound system rockin'. Set it up, DJ. Yes, yes, here we go. Set it up, DJ. Set it up, DJ. Yes, yes, here we go.
.5 KDGE The Edge. Well, there it is. Moby's big hit from the CD, Everything Is Wrong. It's Feeling So Real. And Moby, while we were playing that record, we were discussing, how can we get a techno record crossed over on radio that isn't cheesy? Can it be done?
You're asking me.
I'm asking
I think
you.
it can be done because it's happened in other parts of the world. Like I was saying, in Germany, techno is their pop music.
Okay.
And you have both ends, both ends of the spectrum, the underground stuff and the really cheesy commercial stuff.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming by again, continuing to chronicle the career of Moby as we have here, the past 4 years.
I'll come back a year from now and I'll be like a crack addict junkie. I'm like, yo, Jeff, man, can I borrow 50
I don't
bucks?
think so.
My mom's real sick. I need to get her out of the hospital. And it's like, you know where I can get some good crack?
All right, that's enough of that. Next single in the States again is going to be?
I think it's going to be Bring Back My Happiness.
Bring Back My Happiness. The tour goes on for how long?
The tour has been going on for 3 months now, and I have another 10 days in America, then 3 weeks off, then the second half of Lollapalooza. Then I might be going out with David Bowie and Bjork in the fall. or putting together a college tour with Meat Beat Manifesto. These are the things I'm trying to make happen.
Fantastic.
And then go back to Europe, and then go to Brazil, then go to Australia, then go to Japan. So it'll probably all end in November.
Wow.
And then you know what I might do?
What are you going to do?
You want some gossip?
I want some gossip.
There's a chance I might be producing the next Hole album.
Really?
Yeah.
So this thing between you and Courtney isn't BS.
No,
it's
I love her.
And she knows who you are, and she...
Yeah, she asked me.
That's so cool. You need to look out for her. You need to be her guardian, because she's been in a little bit of trouble lately.
Yeah, either way, or I have to let her corrupt me.
Somehow I think not the latter, but the former. All right, buddy. Well, I tell you what, why don't we go out with the new single?
Okay, Bring Back My Happiness, which is specifically about this issue we were talking earlier about, like, techno being happy and, you know, making people smile and blow whistles and get covered in sweat.
All right. Well said, buddy. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
It's Moby on 94.5 The Edge.
It's hard to let you go. 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 It's h
94.5 kdge, The Edge. That is the brand new single, actually soon to be released new single, I should say, here in the States from Moby. It's called Bring Back My Happiness, and it's on his new CD, Everything Is Wrong. Out now at every record store on the planet, well, at least in America probably, and in England and in Germany and pretty much on the planet there. Courtesy of Elektra Records. Now, next week, we get back into the guest DJ thing with DJ Kelly Reverb making his return to Edge Club 94 for a guest mix. Also, next week on the show, going to give away some Jamiroquai CDs and a couple other surprises in store as well. I'm going to jump in the car. I'm going to head down to the Lizard Lounge. I want to see you down there. Edge Club After Hours begins at 2 a.m. And after the break, an extended mix from Mr. Merritt on Edge Club 94 on 94.5 The Edge.
94.5